This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. Now, here's your host, Kevin Pruitt.
This is Kevin Pruitt with the Marketing Umbrella Podcast. We have another great guest with us this week. Our guest today is a digital marketing consultant and freelancing expert with more than 15 years experience in the digital marketing space. She specializes in building strategic marketing plans, mapping strategy execution, and collaborating to optimize tactics that drive increased performance for clients, primarily in the events and entertainment space. But she also has extensive experience working with medical device, healthcare, and finance technology sectors as well. She is the Executive Vice President of Client Strategy at TicketSocket and Vice President and co-founder of Ice Cream Social. Across her tenure in the field, she's held nearly every role imaginable in the digital marketing space, giving her unmatched expertise in customer acquisition and email, search, and content marketing. In her spare time, if that exists, she loves biohacking and her Peloton. If not at separate times, would you join me in welcoming Ashley Stanford to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast?
Thank you, Kevin. Wow, what a thorough introduction about me. Thank you.
Well, it's always interesting to see people's responses when you read this because, we ask people to, hey, we need you to give us information so we can build, kind of an intro bio and it is so interesting because nobody likes to talk about themselves. So no, this is, hey, we only put stuff that we can verify. So, but
love it.
I kind of, touched on like experience, stuff like that. Round out the picture for us a little bit. Who is Ashley Stanford?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I'll start with my journey of how I got into marketing. It's a very riveting story. Oftentimes when I'm asked, how did you decide of all the careers? And honestly, it was the only class in high school that I got a good grade in. So I decided, you know what, marketing's for me. I'm going to keep it going into college and study visual communications. At that same time, I also started my career just taking on some gigs here and there to learn while I was in school. And what I found, how I knew marketing would be for me once I kind of got my hands into things. And I started out in search engine optimization, which 15, 20 years ago was a completely different game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I just loved getting into someone's website, tweaking a few things, and then 2 weeks later, boom, they're number one on Google, which doesn't happen anymore, and I can't do that. But what I learned while getting my hands in there and playing around with clients' websites is it was like a video game, and I loved that. Grew up playing video games nonstop, and to me, that's what marketing is. All the optimizations, the tinkering, all the possibilities to get to your end goal. That's what I love most about it.
So it's really interesting. And I think that this story has kind of borne itself out, over previous interviews is that, so many people, when you ask them how they kind of got in the whole marketing space, there's really two pathways. There's one that says, well, actually, I had another job and out of necessity, the company just asked me to kind of step in this role and I kind of did it and I kind of had an aptitude for it. And that's just where I've been since then. The second type is a little more interesting to me because it's almost like they are I call them the cause and effect people. They want to tinker with something and see what is going to happen. I don't know if you took things apart, when you were younger to see how they worked.
Oh, yeah.
But that's kind of the MO of this second group of people. And they are very interesting to talk to because, you would do it for half the salary that you're making today because you just kind of love the whole idea behind this. But I don't want to tell your company that you'll work for cheaper, but the idea that is that a fair assessment?
That's definitely a fair assessment. I can't say in my older days that I love putting together IKEA furniture, but I love doing
Nobody
that
does.
in the digital world.
That's right. Yeah, now that's a different thing. That's right. That's a stressed,
Yeah,
mechanics there that nobody likes. And I always end up with extra parts anyway. So
yeah.
and unnecessary. But talk a little bit about and we've heard this so often is the idea of marketing and the kind of the overlap with the kind of the gamification of marketing. So what have you brought into marketing kind of from that? You said, I looked at SEO like a video game. What have you brought into your marketing toolbox, say from those early days?
Great question. As I've already stated, I have a love for video games and bringing that into my career. And as I was working with some clients one day, very closely in the event marketing area, um, we've kind of maxed out everything we could do. We were doing the email, we were doing the SMS, we were doing all the Facebook ads,
Mhm.
search, everything we could possibly do. And the clients came to me one day, and this was just kind of the season where we were at in the world. So it was more than one client kind of posing this question to me, and they just said, how can we get more sales without spending more money on Facebook ads? So, I got to work, was thinking, and I like those kind of problems in a
Mhm.
sense where you kind of have to work in a little bit of a box to
Yeah.
solve the problem. And that honestly is when I think you can get the most creative. Because if you have no box that you're working in, it can be a little overwhelming.
Hmm.
And so the fact of like, oh wow, how can we, the box being we can't spend any more money, what can we do? That is where the idea for Ice Cream Social was actually born. So it was born from the need of clients needing to sell more tickets to their events but not spend any more money. And this was around the time where referral marketing was starting to take off, and I'm
Hmm.
sure everyone's seen those offers. If you buy something online and it says, hey, send this link to your friends. If they buy, we'll give you $20, whatever the case may be. And that works okay in retail. But we wanted to take it to another level. And so we decided to add this layer of gamification to it. So essentially, what we did is after someone purchased a ticket, we would say, hey, this event would be way more fun if your friends come with you.
Hmm.
Here's your link. If you get 5 people to buy, we'll refund your whole ticket. And so that kind of gives that level of gamification because they have a goal. They need to get 5 friends and they have a timeline. So having that timeline, it has also been an important piece. And then making sure we ask people at the right time. And so we found that
Hmm. Yeah.
confirmation page of a purchase, specifically in events, is like prime real estate. That's when someone's most excited about going to the event because they've stopped thinking about it, they've got their ticket, they're locked in, and now they want to tell everybody.
It's almost the idea of kind of an add-on purchase, but it's almost like retroactive. So it's like an add-on discount, maybe at the end of the purchase cycle, the purchase point.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just taking that word of mouth marketing and bringing it into the digital world. And oftentimes that idea of like, whoa, we have to give a refund, it's usually not a big deal because
Hmm.
they've brought you, let's say, 5 new clients, and the cost to acquire those clients was so much more inexpensive than a Facebook ad
Yeah.
or your other marketing SMS.
Because ultimately the cost of acquisition is whatever the discount was,
Yeah, yeah,
versus 5 times that they were paying, kind of
right.
to acquire a customer. But so it started with kind of the ticket purchasing space, but it's kind of taken a life of its own and has outgrown that particular industry. So talk about the transition and maybe some interesting use cases.
Yeah, so we've definitely found it works best in events because of that factor of there's timing involved.
Hmm.
Um, the event's going to happen. It's just a viral thing. Um, we've expanded into retail and it works for sure, not in the same way as it does for events, but where we found very interesting case studies is working in those industries that are a lot more regulated. Let's say like nutrition products or CBD or those sort of products that they actually can't advertise in the
Hmm.
same way most retail and events can. They don't get ads approved the way you think they would. Like it's a very difficult space to be in and to have a marketing plan. It's not a matter of, hey, let's just spend more on ads and we'll get more sales. There's a lot of red tape in those kind of industries. And so we found that by amplifying that word of mouth marketing, turning all your customers into influencers for you is really one of the best routes that you can take.
Is it only at the point of sale, or are you like retroactively reaching back out to people that have purchased before? What's kind of the broad scope of, the target audience
For
and
sure.
timing?
So Uh, we always ask on the confirmation page. That's prime real estate, great
Hmm.
time to ask. But there is actually a lot of active follow-up. So we actually have some clients who run Facebook ads back to
Hmm.
Ice Cream Social that's like hosted on their website. They'll include it in all the receipts. They include it in all their emails, just a little call out. So you can actually build a full marketing strategy around it and have it work really well with your other marketing channels.
Hmm.
And we've actually found that if you're running Facebook ads, you're doing email, you're doing SMS, you're doing search, and then you throw Ice Cream Social into the mix, we're seeing this idea of all boats rise with the tide.
Hmm.
And it's actually helping bring down the cost of acquisition for all the channels.
Now, would you consider it? Is it a SaaS product? Is it an app? What's the magic category that Ice Cream Social would land in, or is it a module, add-in, plug-in, whatever you want to call
Yeah, it kind of crosses all of those. It is a plugin.
it? Hmm.
It is technically a software as a service. Although the way that we charge for it is a little different. Instead of charging like a subscription type
Hmm.
fee. Actually, what we've been doing, and works out really well is we charge our clients as like an affiliate. And
Hmm.
so we say, hey, you're only going to pay for Ice Cream Social if it works. And we'll charge, let's say, 10% of any net new revenue that Ice Cream Social brings in for you. Um, so we kind of charge that way, which has been just a great way to work more collaboratively with our clients and find the right campaigns. And again, it's just that tinkering, that game building of
Yep.
what promo is going to work for your product, your price point, your demographic.
And so it's only pay if there's results. So I thought
Right.
there were like maybe there were like some pricing levels, like gold, silver, bronze
Yeah.
type packages available as well.
Yeah, we do have that available. Some people find us through um, marketplaces like on
Hmm.
Square or WordPress. And in some cases, some models do charge. We might charge a subscription fee,
Hmm.
but we are kind of moving away from that and going towards more of a commission-based model, which most clients prefer that.
You said there are use cases in retail, but it works really well in the event space. I could almost see, and I was thinking back. I was trying to remember what the name of that was, even where it was sharing socially, was sharing discounts. Um, Gosh, what was that site? I can't. anyway, that's beside the point. But I could see like if there were specials, if there were sales going on, and that had a broad appeal, that if you shared that, let's say you bought it and then you shared it with friends and they bought it, it's almost like,
Yeah.
kind of the equivalent of like an Amazon affiliate thing. But there is an incentive to buy because it's a really great price on a product that, a number of people would use. So have you seen anything kind of related to that works well?
Yeah, we definitely um, have found inspiration in that sort of product where, the next evolution of Ice Cream Social is essentially to take all of our clients and all of the people who have come in and become, influencers and build essentially a marketplace where they can come in and be like, okay, I love this kind of product or I love these type of events. What kind of promotions does Ice Cream Social have running right now that influencers can jump on and go ahead
Hmm.
and share with friends and kind of earn extra money that way, while we're also supporting our clients and getting more sales.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a reactive, proactive,
Mhm.
approach in that. So, let's just talk about marketing in general. The kind of the hot topic is like AI. How does and what is AI doing to transform the whole marketing space? Kind of that large language learning, model and just AI in general. So, talk about how that has impacted, Ice Cream Social, how that's impacted your work, and is there any integration that you see kind of in the near future that you're going to have to adapt to kind of stay up, stay current?
Yeah. Well, I will say, while AI has become a hot topic lately, honestly, the technology behind it is not something that's, really new to all of us who've been in marketing. When you think about things like the algorithm
Hmm.
or,
Been
your
working with
social,
that for years. Yeah.
yeah, your Facebook ads
Hmm.
magically optimizing by themselves, like
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
all essentially AI.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see that those sort of technology components playing a big role in Ice Cream Social 2.0, as well as, just a lot of the predictive writing and prompts and things like that that can uh,
Hmm.
help people be a little more creative sometimes if you're struggling on
Yep.
what to write. I mean, I personally, I enjoy playing around with AI, Chat GPT, seeing what kind of copy can they come up with for
Yeah.
small and wordsmith and, mix things together to find that right match. But I will caveat that with you also want to know how to do things like A/B test and actually make sure what you're doing is working,
Hmm. Yeah.
and continue to refine and optimize along the way.
So if you want to project down the road, what do you think Ice Cream Social is going to morph into in the next 5 years? Prognosticate a little bit.
Yeah, so I really believe in this idea that every single person is an influencer, even if they don't have social media. So, if you think about your immediate family, your friend group, I guarantee you know someone who isn't really on social media. Maybe they have a Facebook account, but they're not on it or don't know how to really
Mhm.
use it, whatever the case may be. Everybody is in their own right an influencer. We all have, knock on wood, friends and family that we love and interact with on a daily basis. It just doesn't all happen on social media. A lot of it happens in person, on the phone, text messaging. And so, with Ice Cream Social, we really want to bring that to life, turn that influencer marketing into more of word of mouth marketing that can be done by anybody, not just someone that you may deem a quote unquote influencer.
Mhm. And I'm the model, and I'm probably been refining and defining this far too narrowly, but it almost seems like the model is like a client referral based
Yeah,
model
it,
versus just generic influencer out there. So
yeah, it is.
is that a fair assessment, or is that too restrictive?
No, I'd say so. I mean, it's a simple business plan product. It's not something completely revolutionary, but it's all in the way that you ask.
Mm-hmm.
Just, taking that philosophy and again, that love for games and optimizing and tinkering to really improve someone's sales.
And I mean, I would think not only timing, but copy would be important too. Like,
Yeah.
how you write the offer, how you make it clear that they're like, they I get a lot of things and offers in the mail through their email that I have no idea what they're even asking for. It's just
Yeah.
such a convoluted, mess. But talk about like, a lot of our listeners are kind of in the marketing agency space. They have clients that they're working with that are they're trying to optimize the kind of the marketing spend. Talk about how Ice Cream Social may fit into that conversation. If you're a marketing agency and you've got clients out there, whether they're in the ticket space or not, or maybe even related, or some kind of some maybe a little more broad use case, talk specifically, to that ear that says, I'm trying to think how this works with my client base.
Sure. I'm a big fan of agencies. As you read in my bio, I do a lot of freelancing. And very early on in my career, I learned that my best freelancing clients are agencies because I get to continue to spend 90% of my time doing what I love to do with marketing and not spending all my time doing sales. Uh,
Or
so
bookkeeping or emptying the trash
exactly.
cans.
Yeah.
That's right.
You, if you're a freelancer and you want to stay focused on doing what you love to do with digital marketing, find a few agencies that you can freelance with because they've always got clients and projects they need to scale up and down. And that model's always worked really well for me. So I work a lot with agencies and a couple things in response to your question. I would say the agencies that I've worked with that take reporting very seriously
Hmm.
are are the agencies that continue to get more and more budget approved year after year. And that means weekly reporting, monthly reporting, quarterly reporting. And one of the things that I've done with some agencies is I'll come in and help them set up, what are we reporting? And how do you take that data and turn it into real insight to continue to improve your campaigns week over week, month over month, quarter over quarter? So if you don't necessarily take reporting as seriously, or maybe you just do it occasionally or when the clients ask, or monthly and it's just a simple report out on numbers and no real insight of how to take that data and make it actionable, I would say that's like number one of the greatest things I've seen some agencies do. So I'm a big fan of that when you're talking about just improving your work and growing your agency. And then in terms of Ice Cream Social, it's just a matter of are you working with a product that has clients that more so B2C. I can't
Hmm.
say we do a lot in B2B,
Hmm.
but if you have B2C clients and you're looking for ways of lowering your cost per acquisition across all your marketing channels, it can be a really great complement to your other marketing channels. It can be, part of the puzzle piece. It's definitely not a strategy that can stand alone by itself. It does play really well in the sandbox with other marketing channels. So if you're just kind of find yourself asking that question, how can we get more sales without spending more money? Then Ice Cream Social could be a fit.
Well, I certainly think, if your campaigns are stagnating a little bit, if you're, the cost of acquisition or the cost you're spending on ad spend is increasing, you've got to look for new and creative ways for sure. look for new and creative ways to maximize that your value to your clients. So, what are some early things you learned, just one or two things that you learned that you could not have anticipated when you launched Ice Cream Social, that you're like going, man, I wish I'd have known what I know now. I wish I would have known that when we launched it, because these were a couple of lessons that were just really hard to learn, the kind of the difficult street education you got by running this company.
Yeah, I would say a lesson that I learned, not with Ice Cream Social, but with other companies that we're able to apply to Ice Cream Social, is I've worked in a lot of like hasty environments. Like, we got to get this to market.
Mm-hmm.
We need to meet these deadlines to appease these clients type situations. And essentially, just that philosophy of haste makes waste.
Hmm.
I totally agree. You got to be able to move fast, especially in technology. But sometimes you get so far down the line and you've built a product that the foundation of it is not strong.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it doesn't have the best coding, and I'm not super techy, but I know
Mm-hmm.
enough to be dangerous. And essentially, you find yourself rebuilding important aspects of your product that, if it was just done right the first time, you wouldn't need to be spending those resources to do that.
What's one other thing that you can look back and think, maybe related to Ice Cream Social, think, boy, I wish we'd have done that differently, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure everyone within the company understands the big vision and is
Mm-hmm.
excited, is buying into it. Because if they're not, you're not going to get the work quality that you're expecting. You're not going to be able to move as fast as you want to move. You're just not going to have that passion. And it is important to build a great team. And that's not always about the team member itself. It starts at the top and works its way down. And so just making sure communication's clear and people are excited about what you're doing. Letting the, we'll have like a dev team or account management team. Like, some people don't interact with the client, so they don't get the feedback, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
good or bad.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you're passing on the good feedback. You want to make sure people know within the company when your product's doing really well. Of course, the dev team hears when it's not going well,
Exactly.
but when it is going really well, you do want to make sure that you're sharing that out so people
Mm-hmm.
understand, like, hey, this is a great case study and you guys are doing awesome work.
That is sage advice, and I think that's true of teaming just in general. Is
Yeah.
make sure you pass on the good feedback as well. So, is there anything that we haven't touched on, in the marketing space that you've thought about as we kind of chatted today, that you think would be a good way to kind of wrap us up today, and before we head into the lightning round?
Love a good lightning round. Um, I would just say, and I did mention this a little bit, but that reporting aspect, I don't think enough companies, businesses take enough time to track and measure what they're doing.
Hmm.
A lot of times reports get done to send them off, but there's no real debriefing and pulling that insight to applying. And I think that is I love, because to me that's part of the optimization and the tinkering and
Yep.
the making things better. And I am honestly shocked by the amount of companies that I consult with, work with, agencies that don't do that.
Sounds like it's almost like a necessary evil instead of an effective tool.
Yeah,
The
for
good
sure.
analytic that you could use to measure. But
Yeah,
um,
what gets
so
measured matters.
that's exactly right. And often what gets measured gets met, the idea for
For
sure.
sure.
Well, we are going to jump into our lightning round, and these are just kind of some crazy questions. And I'm actually going to change the very first one. We normally ask a specific question, but I'm going to change it just based on what we talked about earlier. Describe how your childhood affected your career choice.
Ooh. So I
These
grew
are,
up,
yeah, these are pretty short answers. So,
yeah, okay. Grew up in a small town, not a lot of money, only had one video game. That was Mario Brothers, as I mentioned. Loved to play video games. And I think the fact that I only ever had one or two video games growing up was so great because that's where I learned that love for optimization. It's like you beat the game, and then it's like, okay, now what? Well, let's beat the game and see how many coins we can get, or let's beat the game and see how fast we can do it. So, creating those new challenges for yourself when you're bored, I think is just an important part of life that people don't get today because nobody gets bored.
well, that, yeah, they don't take the time to, because they fill it with yeah, just mind-numbing activity. But uh,
Yeah,
did you get along with your parents growing up?
I did. Yeah,
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother and a younger sister.
Any pets currently?
We have a pet snake in our house.
Of course you do.
Not by choice.
That's
Not by
right.
my choice.
Uh, Children?
Uh, I've got two and a half. I have a 14-year-old boy, an 11-year-old girl, and a little bun in the oven.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. What time on a workday do you wake up in the morning?
Ooh, I get up about 5:30 every day.
Yeah,
I
got to hit
like,
the Peloton.
yeah, I like a slow morning, enjoy my espresso, lounge. I like to take my time in the morning.
Before the day starts. And what time do you go to bed at night?
I'm gonna go to bed pretty early, probably by like before 10
Okay.
for now.
Um,
For the
Ideal vacation. Money, not an object.
oh, you know, Japan's on my list right
On the
now.
bucket list.
Yeah, I'd love to go to Japan.
Well, that's a good choice. I've only been there one time, but I was highly impressed. So, um, how does faith intersect your work life?
Mm.
You define
So
faith.
yeah, and I can if you're watching, you can see a bookshelf back there. I got this book right there. It's called The Desire Map, and everyone can build their own idea of faith and spirituality. But this book I found when I was pretty young in my career, and it takes you through a series of many, many exercises about your life. And at the end of the book, you come up with 3 to 5 core desired feelings of how you want to feel every day in your life. And that book has, really created a foundation for me and how I want to live my life. And I actually will do it every few years because life changes, we
Sure.
evolve, your goals change, circumstances change. And of all the times I've done that, there's one word that continues to stay in my core desired feelings every single time, and that's freedom. And I live in the US, so we have a very um, nice definition of freedom that not everybody else has. But for me, in my relating it back to my career in life, it's when I first started out, it was the idea of like financial freedom. Like I wanted
Hmm.
to make a lot of money. And then you grow up a little bit and you have kids, and it became about time freedom. Like I
Hmm.
just want more time to enjoy my life. And then, now it's evolved for me in opportunity freedom and making sure that what I'm working on every day is something that I want to do and I can choose the opportunities. It's not, I gotta do this today because this is what I'm hired to do. It's I chose to do this. And I really like that book and philosophy, and it kind of there's a lot of faith building and spirituality and, building that foundation in your life that I've really enjoyed.
I think that your progression of, kind of financial to time to opportunity freedom is really interesting to look back, and I think a lot of us might have a similar, path if we looked at it
Yeah.
retroactively. But if you were queen for a day in the
Ooh.
marketing space, what is one thing you would change about the marketing climate today?
Ooh. I,
I love the response when I ask this question. People are like, "Oh, wow, I have thought
uh,
about that."
well, it's hard because it works. but I hate it. But the whole FOMO marketing, the fear of missing out,
Mm.
hate that. Just want great products, the great marketing message, great packaging without having to use fear-based tactics to sell it.
And I think it's interesting because if you have even the ice cream social model is like, hey, share with friends this great experience. Not
Yeah,
if you don't do it by midnight tonight, you don't get the set of steak knives.
exactly, exactly. That's hot on my mind with Prime Day coming tomorrow.
Exactly. That is exactly right. Ashley, it's been a really pleasure to just chat with you today and just to virtually meet you on the podcast. But
Yes.
what a great story with how Ice Cream Social came to be and kind of the use case. But just our chat about the marketing space in general. I think as we try to bring guests on that add value to the marketing space to really help agency owners grow and scale their business. You really kind of fit the bill today. We really appreciate that. And just thank you again and have a great week.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to another great episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. To learn more, go to umbrellaus.com.